Okay, good morning class. Welcome now to our week 6, second quarter. So before we start, we're going to pray, everybody. Let us bow our head and put the presence to the Lord. Father God, come be with us today. Fill our hearts with joy. Fill our minds with learning. Fill our classrooms with peace. Fill our lessons with fun. Fill our friendships with kindness. Fill our study with love and compassion. Amen. Okay, so last week we studied about the solving routine and non-routine word problems involving multiplication of decimals with or without addition and subtractions of decimals. So, let us have a recap about the lesson that we have learned last week. So, the problem number 1 and problem number 2, that is part of your quiz that we are going to check this morning. So, our number 1 is Claire buys 3 dolls at 245 pesos and 75 centavos each. How much change did she receive from her 500 peso bill? Okay. Look at that. Each. We have the word each, so you are going to multiply. So what are the given facts that we are going to multiply? So we have 245 pesos and 75 centavos times 3. And then look at that. She received from here 500 peso bill. Dalawa daw ang 500 peso bill. So we are going to multiply that also. 500 times 2. That is why I have here 1,000 here. So now we are going to multiply. 3 times 5 equals 15. Bring down 5, carry up 1. 3 times 7 equals 21. Plus 1 equals 22. Then, carry up 2. 3 times 5 equals 15. Plus 2 equals 17. Bring down 7, carry up 1. Then we have 3 times 4 equals 12. Plus 1 equals 13. Bring down 3, carry up 1. Then last is 3 times 2 equals 6. Plus 1 equals 7. Now, we have 2 decimal places. That is why our product must have also 2 decimal places. So our answer now is 737 and 25 centavos. Now, what we are going to do? So we have the word how much change. So in other words, you're going to subtract. So where do we want to subtract that number? To 1,000 pesos. Where did we get 1,000 pesos? That 1,000 pesos is the 500 peso bill. So that is 1,000. Now we are going to subtract 1,000 minus 737 and 25 centavos. So 0 minus 25 cannot be, so we are going to borrow from the 1. So 1 becomes 0. Then 0 at the right becomes 9. Since that is 10, we borrow it 1. So magiging 9 na lang siya. Then, the other 0 becomes 10. So, magiging 9 because magbabaro ang susunod na 0. Next, 10, borrow 1, it becomes 9. Then, the other 0 is 10, borrow 1 equals 9. So, the last 0 becomes 10. Then, we can now subtract. 10 minus 5 equals 5. 9 minus 2 equals 7. Then, bring down or copy the decimal point. Take note, that is the importance of decimal points. Then, we have 9 minus 7 equals 2. 9 minus 3 equals 6. Then, 9 minus 7 equals 2. Then, the remaining is 0, so we are not going to bring down that. So, the answer for number 1 is 262 pesos and 75 centavos. That is the change of clear. So, that is the answer. Now, let's go now to problem number 2. Every learner in a class gives 3 pesos and 50 centavos for the 6 school personnel. How much was given by 5 classes, each with 38 learners? Now, sa isang section daw, mayroong 38 na bata. Then, ang tanong is how much was given by the 5 classes in each with 38 learners. Magkano daw ang naipon nilang lahat ng tatlong section na yan? So now we are going to multiply. Okay. So we have 8 times 0 equals 0. Then, 8 times 5 equals 40. Bring down 0, carry up 4. Then we have 8 times 3 equals 24, plus 4 equals 28. Now we're going to multiply also 3. 3 times 0 equals 0. Then 3 times 5 equals 15, bring down 5, carry up 1. Then we have 3 times 3 equals 9, plus 1 equals 10. Now, we're going to get the sums. 0 bring down 0, then we have 5 plus 8 equals 13, carry up 1, 1 plus 2 equals 3, bring down 1. So, we have 2 decimal places, that is why our product also must have 2 decimal places. So, the answer is 133 pesos for one section only. So, in the problem, we have 5 sections or 5 classes. So, that is why that 133 pesos, we're going to multiply that by 5. Okay. Now, 5 times 0 equals 0. 5 times 0 equals 0. Then, we have 5 times 3 equals 15. Bring down 5, carry up 1. Then, 5 times 3 equals 15 plus 1 equals 16. Bring down 6, carry up 1. 5 times 1 equals 1 plus 1 equals 6 rather. Now, we have 2 decimal places in our factor. That is why we have also 2 decimal places in our product. So, we have put decimal points between 5 and 0. So, the amount that collected or given by the 5 classes to the 6 school personnel is 665 pesos. So that is the answer for the number 1 and 2 problem in our quiz last week. So now, how do we solve routine and non-routine problem involving multiplication without or with addition or subtraction of decimals and whole numbers, including money, using appropriate problem-solving strategies and tools? Okay. So, to solve routine and non-routine problem, 1, you're going to read and analyze the given problems. So, in analyzing the problem, you can identify what is asked in the problem. So, after you identify the given what is asked, you are going to know what are the given facts. So, take note, if our problem is non-routine, sometimes you have the hidden questions or the hidden given. That is very important in solving the non-routine word problems, to identify the hidden question or the hidden given. Then, after you know the given facts, you're going to know what operations to be used. To find out the operations to be used, you are going to look at the clue words or the clue phrases that found in our problems that given to you. Okay, then after you know the operation, translate word problem into a mathematical sentence. So, maglagay na po tayo ng number sentence. After we know the given facts, we know the operations, you can now formulate your number sentence. After you formulate the number sentence, you are going to solve now and then level the final answer. So, that is how to solve the routine and non-routine problem. Kahit ano man yung problem, it's either multiplication, division, addition, or subtraction. Okay? So now this morning, we are going to study about dividing of decimals with up to 2 decimal places. And the other one, dividing of whole numbers with quotient in decimal form. So we have 2 lessons this morning. Then at the end of the lesson, you are expected to 1. Divide decimals with up to 2 decimal places. And number 2, divide whole numbers with quotients in decimal form. Okay, now, I have here a problem opener. For problem opener number 1, this is for our lesson number 1. The Boy Scouts planted narrow trees along a 100-kilometer river bank. For every 500 kilometer distance, a narrow tree seedling is planted. How many seedlings were planted along the river bank? Now, so we're going to analyze the problem. So we have the given facts, 90 hundredths kilometer, and we have 500 kilometers. What is asked is the number of seedlings planted along the river bank. Okay. So, we have the clue word is distance. So, we have the distance. So, in other words, we are going to divide. Now, if you were a member of the Boy Scout, will you do the same? Of course, you're going to do the same. You're going to have a tree planting. So, tree planting class helps our environment to balance our ecosystem. Okay. For our problem number 2, for our lesson number 2, we have Shire helps in sari-sari store after her class. If he works 12 hours in 15 days, what is the average number of hours she works there in a day? Ayan, so we're going to analyze the problem. What is asked? The average number of hours that Shire works in a day. So what are the given facts? We have 12 hours and 15 days. What is the clue word? Average. So when you say average, you're going to divide. So that is now, our number sentence is 12 divided by 15. So this lesson is dividing whole number by whole number with a quotient of decimal form. So yung sagot natin dyan magiging decimal form. Now, if you were Shire, will you do the same? Yes, of course. And what can you say about Shire? Okay, Shire is a kind person. What else? Helpful. Very good. She helped her family in their sari-sari store. Now, we are going to solve the 2 problem. Okay, so in our problem opener number 1, we have our given facts are 90 hundredths kilometer. Then we have 500 meters, kilometers also. So we have, we are going to divide this. So to translate this into a number sentence, it becomes 90 hundredths kilometer divided by 500 kilometer equals n. Now, we are going to rewrite this into another form of division. So, inside is 90. So, 90 hundredths. Then, outside is 500. So how do we divide these decimal numbers by another decimal numbers? Okay, take note class. In dividing decimal numbers, you always see to it that our divisor is a whole number. So in other words, we cannot divide right away if our divisor is a decimal number. So we are going to change first our divisor into a whole number. So ano yung pinakasimpleng paraan para mag-change the decimal number into a whole number? So ang gagawin lang po natin, excuse me, i-move na lang po si decimal points going to the right. Or shall we multiply it by the power of 10? Pag sinabi natin by the power of 10, multiply it by 10 or by 100 or by 1,000 if it depends upon the given. Let's say for example, this one is in hundreds. So you're going to multiply it by 100. So if we're going to multiply 500s by 100, the answer is 5. Okay. So, move na lang natin para mas mabilis. So, i-move natin si decimal points. 1, 2. Okay, how many times did I move? Okay, 2 times or 2 places ang pag-move natin. So, you're going to, never mind mo na yung 0, ibig sabihin 5 na siya. Then, kung anong ginawa ni divisor is the same also in dividend. Kasi si dividend, ano yun siya? Excuse me, gaya-gaya portion. Ginagaya niya ang move ni divisor. So, nagdalawang move siya. Dalawang move din siya dito. 1, 2. Ayan. So, 2 places din ang kanyang pag-move. So, instead of 90 hundredths, magiging 90 na siya. So, magiging whole number na. Then, since our decimal points is moved here, you're going to write also the decimal points here. Okay, can you follow? Okay, very good. Now, let's go now to divide. 9 divided by 5 equals? So, ilan ang 5 sa 9? So, we have 1. So, you write your quotient above 9. Huwag kung saan-saan para naka-align. Then, 1 times 5 equals 5. Then, minus. So, we have 9 minus 5 equals 4. Bring down 0. Now, 40. 40 divided by 5 equals 8. Very good. We have 8. Then, 8 times 5 equals 40. So, we have no remainder now. So, 0 remainder. So, our answer is 18. So, 18 ano na yon? We have, our answer is 18 seedlings. Ayan. So, bakit nawala na si kilometer? So, when you are going to divide, so wala na. Tatanggalin mo na siya. So, the remaining is numbers. So, that is why our answer for problem opener number 1 is 18 seedlings. Ayan. So, that is how to divide decimal number by another decimal number. Take note, you always change your divisor as a whole number. You cannot divide right away if your divisor is in a decimal form. So, gagawin mo lang, i-move ang decimal points, or else you can do multiplying by the power of 10. Okay, let's go now to problem opener number 2. Okay, so our given facts. Okay, nawawala kasi si eraser. Kamay na lang na siya ang ipambura. So our problem opener number 2 is the given facts are 12 hours. And then the other one is 15 days. Okay. So our divisor is 12 and the dividend is 15. So to write that in like this way, we have 15 divided by 12. if she works 12 hours in 15 days, we have 15 days, our divisor is 15 and our dividend is 12. So, baliktad tayo. Okay. So, now, we're going to divide. So, 12 divided by 15 cannot be. So, what we are going to do? We're going to add 2 or more 0. But the standard is 2 zeros first. So, we are going to add 2 zeros to our dividend. Then, you have to put a decimal points first. Since, nandiyan naman talaga ang decimal points. So, sa whole number, yung nasa right ng last, may decimal points siya. Invisible lang siya kasi whole number na nga siya. But if you are going to add 0, you have to put decimal points first. Then, you're going to put a decimal points here. Now, 12 divided by 15 is 0. Okay. Then we have 15 times 0 equals 0. Then, minus. So we have 12. Bring down 0. Now, we have 120 divided by 15. So, ilan ang 15 ang nasa 120? If we are going to put 8, say 8 times 5 equals 40, carry 4. 8 times 1 equals 8 plus 4 equals 12. So, yan. So, we have 120 minus 120 equals 0. So, we have remaining 0 here. We're going to put here. Ayan. So, 80 hundredths. So, in other words, in a day, sa isang araw, nasa 80 minutes ang kanyang ginugugol dun sa sari-sari store ni Shire. So, our answer here is 1800s or 80 hundredths rather. Hours or hour. So that is how to divide whole number by another whole number with their answer quotient of a decimal form. Now let's have another example. I have here an example. So number 1, for lesson 1, what is 75 hundredths divided by 25 hundredths? And number 2 is how many 8/10 are there in 64 hundredths? For lesson number 2, we have what is the quotient of 24 is divided by 48. And then number 2, 8 divided by 32 equals n. Okay, for number 1, we have 75 hundredths divided by 25 hundredths. So now, we're going to move the decimal point. So we have 2 places. So now, 75 divided by 25. So nandito yung ating decimal point. So 75 divided by 25 equals 3. 3 times 5 equals 15. Carry up 1. 3 times 2 equals 6 plus 1 equals 7. So, 75 minus 75 equals 0. So, the answer is 3. For number 2, we have how many 8/10 are there in 64 hundredths? So, we have 64 hundredths divided by 8/10. Okay, look at this. 8/10. So, we are going to move one place only. So, here. Then, we move also one place here. So, that is why our decimal points is between 6 and 4. So, you're going to write decimal points here. Now, since 6 and 4 was separated or is separated by the decimal points, so we are not going to combine 64. So, we have 6 first. 6 divided by 8 equals 0. And then, 0 times 8 equals 0. Then minus 6 minus 0 equals 6. Bring down 4. Then 64 divided by 8 equals 8. Then 8 times 8 equals 64. So 64 minus 64 equals 0. Now we are going to check if our answer is correct. So we have our quotient is 8 tenths times 8 tenths. So we have 8 times 8 equals 64. How many decimal places? We have 1, 2, 1, 2. So 2 decimal places we have 6,400. So balik ulit kay 6,400. This one we can also we can check this also by multiplying our divisor to our quotient. So we have 2,500 times 3. So 3 is our quotient. So 3 times 5 equals 15, carry up 1. 3 times 2 equals 6, plus 1 equals 7. Then, 2 decimal places, 1, 2, so you have to add decimal points. Is that clear? So that is our lesson 1, dividing decimal number by another decimal number. And again, you're going to take note that you cannot divide the decimal number if your divisor is a decimal form. Since the rule is, you're going to make it a whole number. So, lagi naka-whole number dapat si divisor. So, in order you to divide, you are going to move the decimal points to the right or simply multiply the divisor to the power of 10. Okay, now, for our lesson 2, another example natin sa lesson 2 natin. So, we have number 1 is, what is the quotient of 24 divided by 48? So, we have here 24 divided by 48. So, sino yung nasa loob dito? Si 24. So, 24 divided by 48. So, take note ha, baka mamaya mali-mali ang nailagay nga sa loob. So, we have 24 divided by 48 is 0. So, we have 0. Then, we have 24. Add decimal points. Add 2 zeros. Pwede rin po isang 0 lang. Then, decimal points. So, isang 0 lang muna. Pwede na rin yan. So, we have 240 now. So, 240 divided by 48. Okay, let's say 5. Okay, 5. 5 times 8 equals 40, carry up 4. Then we have 5 times 4 equals 20 plus 4 equals 24. So the answer is 5 tenths. Is that clear? Okay, madali lang. Very good. So this is multiplying, dividing rather whole number by whole number with the quotient of decimal form. So yung answer natin nagiging decimal form. So another example we have 8 divided by 32 rather. So we have 32. So we have 8 divided by 32. Ayan. So add decimal points, add 0. Then write decimal points here. So we have 8 divided by 32 equals 0. So 0 po siya. We have 8. Bring down 8. So 80 divided by 32. Let's say we have 2 or 2. So we have 2 times 4, 4. 2 times 3, 6. Then minus. So we have 7, 10. 6. 7 minus 6 equals 1. So you add another 0 since may remainder pa po tayo. So we have 160 divided by 32. So we have 5. So 5 times 2 equals 10. Carry up 1. 5 times 3 equals 15 plus 1 equals 16. So we have 0. So our answer for 8 divided by 32 is 2,500. hundredths. Okay, let's, napansin nyo ba na kapag nag-divide tayo ng whole number by another whole number, na ang ating divisor is bigger than the dividend, our answer is in the decimal form. Okay, any question regarding our lesson for today? Okay, very good. If there is none, okay, pag wala ng tanong, it's your time to do your seat work. So let's have this. Answer the following. So for the lesson 1, we have learning task number 2 and learning task number 3. So learning task number 2, find the quotient, show how the decimal point is moved in the divisor and the dividend. So check by multiplication, write your answer in your math notebook. So by moving the decimal points daw ang gagawin niyo. So kagaya yung ginawa ko kanina. Then learning task number 3, solve for n. Write your answers in your notebook. So take note sa notebook lang siya ilalagay ang answer. Then, kapag tapos ka na, you can check your work by looking at the back of your math module or the last part since the module have already the answer. So you can check your answer right away after you're done. Okay, next for lesson number 2. Okay, so nilagay ko na rin po dito from your module. So learning task 1, find the quotient, write your answers in your notebook. Ayan. So if the given is in the fraction form, yung denominator, yun po yung ating dividend o yung nasa loob. Ang numerator naman, yun ang ating divisor, yung nasa labas. Okay, naintindihan po ba? Okay, very good. Now, learning task number 2, solve for n. Write your answers in your notebook. Ayan. So, we have, in learning task 1, so sa number 2 and the number 4, that is, dividing decimal by a whole number. So, you're going to affix or write the decimal point at the top. So, wala kayong i-move the decimal points dyan kasi may decimal points na siya. Okay? If you are done, again, you can check your work. The answer can be found the last page of your math module. Okay, now, how do we divide decimals? With up to 2 decimal places. Okay, so in dividing decimal by a decimal, first, make a divisor a whole number by multiplying both the divisor and the dividend by the power of 10. Yun ang sinabi ko kanina. When you say power of 10, it's times 10, times 100, times 1,000. It depends upon if your quotient, let's say, your divisor rather, if in tens, you're going to multiply it by 10. If it is in hundreds, you can multiply it by 100. If it is in thousands, you're going to multiply it by 1,000. But simply, ang pinaka-simple, you have to move the decimal points to the right. If you move the decimal points to the right, let's say twice to your divisor, you also move the decimal points of the dividend twice also. Why? Because si dividend rather is follow what the divisor do. Sinusundan niya. Then after you make a divisor as a whole number, you can now divide as in dividing with a whole number. So ganun lang kasimple pag nag-divide ng decimal numbers. How do we solve whole numbers with a quotient in decimal form? Okay. So to divide whole numbers with the quotients in decimal forms, 1, add 2 or more zeros to the dividend with a decimal point before adding the zeros. So maglalagay daw tayo ng 0. But you can start from 1 0, 2 zeros or more habang wala na po siyang ma-remain na remainder. But 3 zeros is stop na kapag nag 3 zeros ka na kasi ang Ibig sabihin nun, the given number is repeated decimal, or we call that irrational decimal ang tawag doon. So ulit, gagawin muna daw, maglagay ng decimal points, then maglagay ng 0. Then kung saan nilagay si decimal points, i-align din up the top sa inyong quotient. So after that, you write the decimal point of the quotient directly above the decimal point of the dividend. Then lastly, divide the whole number up to 2 decimal places or as indicated in the direction given. So kung sinabi ni teacher na 2 decimal places, ibig sabihin mag-add ka ng 2 0. Pero pag sinabi ni teacher na 3 decimal places, edi mag-3 0 ang idadagdag. Okay? Is that clear? Okay, very good. Now, for your application, write or answer the following. So, notebook pa din ha. You're going to write your answer in your notebook. Again, for the lesson 1, learning task number 4, solve the following problems, write your solutions, and your answers in your notebook. So, hindi ko na babasahin para mabilis tayo. Okay, next, for lesson number 2, learning task 3, solve the following problems, write your solutions, and your answers in your notebook. So, hindi ko na rin babasahin na para mabilis tayo ngayon. Okay, now, let's go now to your quiz or our assessment this week. So, read, analyze each problem. Write your answer in a piece of pad paper. Again, sa papel, isulat ang sagot. Okay, for lesson number 1 ito. Number 1, Reyes family consumes 7,500 kilogram of rice a day. How many days will they consume 45 and 7,500 kilogram of rice? Okay, number 2. Mr. Lee paid 631 pesos and 75 centavos for 3 and 5/10 kilograms of grapes. How much does a kilogram of grapes cost? Okay, number 3. How many 4,700 meter are there in 61 and 1/10 meter? Alright, for number 4, what is the average point of 92 hundredths divided or by 23 hundredths? Okay, for number 5, how many pieces of cloth 23 hundredths meter each can be formed as 65 hundredths meter long? Okay? Alright, for number 6 to 10, this is for the lesson number 2. Okay, find the quotient of 2 divided by 144. Then number 7, what is the quotient of 5 divided by 25? Then number 8, if you divide 36 from 9, what is the result? Take note the word from. So, ibig sabihin, yung from na yan, that is your dividend. And the first number is your divisor. Okay, number 9, in the equation, 15 divided by 45 equals n. Find the value of n. And the last number, number 10, get the quotient of 8 divided by 96. Okay, again, uulitin ko as a reminder, write your answer in a piece of pad paper, not in your notebook. And then you are going to we're going to check that for the next week lesson. Okay, any questions? If there is none, this is your assignment. Below your answers for your quiz, write your reflection regarding to the lesson hour or regarding to our lesson. So what I understand that. What have you understand about our lesson? And I learned that, or what have you learned from our lesson? And you are going to write that in your a piece of pad paper below the answer of our quiz. Okay, thank you very much. Enjoy doing your activities. See you next week. Goodbye, class.